Okay, when it comes to selling, the most important part of the selling process is pricing. I want you to think about your grandmother's cookie recipe, if you will, and that you feel like it can't be replicated. Well, the reason being is because of the recipe and the ingredients. So I want you to think about when you're selling your home and you're thinking about that recipe, pricing is like the flour. It is the absolute most important part of the selling process. So when you're listing your home, it's incredibly imperative that your representative is accurate in their comparable sales and is knowledgeable in the area in which your property exists. They need to have represented buyers and sellers in that area. They're going to know the inventory that is sold previously. And why that's important is because once something is sold, you can only see pictures online. And the story that's told online is a lot different that's told in person. So it's really, really critical that your representative knows the inventory, has been in multiple homes, and can compare them to yours objectively without any misconceptions or misguidance, if you will. Using accurate comparable sales is the most important part of the process when you're accurately appraising a property and valuing a property. And what I mean by that is you cannot overlook factual details about another home, whether it's sold more or sold less, and not compare it to yours. Meaning, if a property sold for $3 million and it was 5,000 square feet, and your home is 2,000 square feet, but it's 2 doors down, it's not a comparable. You cannot dismiss facts like that. So making sure that you and your representative and your agent are looking very, very scrutinizingly at each data point when it comes to the comparables and accurately measuring yourself against true competition is critically important. And lastly, be aware of your competition. And what I mean by that is pay attention to the other homes that are for sale on the market currently. Let's say there's a house listed for $1 million and you're thinking about listing your house for $1 million, and they're the same bedrooms, the same bathrooms, the same square footage on the same street, and that property has been on the market for 90 days and hasn't sold. That's a really good indication that your property is not worth $1 million. Also, you're going to have to compete against that property. So it'd be much more advantageous for you to list at $995 or $998 and give yourself a little bit of a competitive edge. So when you're putting your property on the market, and this is something that we specialize in, we appraise and underwrite the value of these properties better than anyone else in the peninsula. And it's very important that you pay attention to not only the sold properties, but also what's listed and available for sale as well. Let's talk about pricing misconceptions. Since pricing is the most important part of the listing process, there's a lot of misconceptions revolving around pricing, and I'd like to go over those so that you don't fall into those traps. Number one is, and I hear this all the time, let's price my home above market value to leave room to negotiate. And that's just the worst thing that you could possibly do. We live in a generation, I have young children, they're called the swipe generation. If you think about tablets, phones, everything is a swipe. It's a split decision. So when your home goes on the market and you're on Zillow or Realtor.com, you have that split second to captivate that potential buyer and the consumer to engage in clicking on your property, looking through the photos, and hopefully scheduling a showing to come see it. If you're priced inaccurately, they're never even going to click on the link. They're never even going to engage. So pricing above the market value to leave room to negotiate is the worst and most common trap that I see sellers fall into all the time. Number two, every single real estate website now has a home valuation tool. Now, some of them are accurate if you live in a very cookie cutter neighborhood that has similar size and style homes that are all in a very close geographic area. But if you live in areas like the Monterey County and Monterey Peninsula that we live in, there's a very diverse spread and range of views, home sizes, lot sizes, all of that. So you got one home on one side of the street that could be worth $6 million because it's on the ocean, and a home on this side of the street could be worth $2 million because it doesn't see the ocean. So the biggest trap I see all the time on these online websites is sellers taking them for face value on the home valuation. You need a real estate professional to guide you through the pricing process and to make sure that it's accurate. The third thing I see all the time is that people comment on what they paid for their property. Well, back in 2005, I paid this much. Unfortunately, that's irrelevant, whether good or bad. What's relevant is today's market value. There's a market value for everything: gas, gallon of milk, t-shirts, watches, shoes. There's a market price, and the consumer, the buyer, is not going to pay more for something just because of what you paid. So get that one out of your head, that what you paid mattered, or that you remodeled your home 20 years ago and spent $200,000, and that matters, because now it's dated, if I'm going to be honest with you. So today's market value is the only thing that matters when pertaining to pricing. The last thing that I want to share with you is that aggressive pricing has no consequences, and inaccurate overpricing has massive consequences. I'm gonna draw a graph for you, and I want you to envision this axis being price and this axis being days on market, how long you've been on the market. This is what it looks like. Just like that. The longer that you're on the market, the less your property is worth. So back to overpricing above market value to leave room to negotiate, what that really means is that your property is going to sit, it's going to be stale, it's going to accumulate those days on market, and it's going to reduce the value of your property. I want you to think of the inverse now, and this is the new school, newer wave of thinking that our team and that I embrace when selling property. Let's say we strategically market 5% undervalue. All of a sudden, we're a deal, right? Aggressively underpricing and doing it intentionally creates competition. And competition is the best possible thing for a seller because it can drive multiple offers. People throw logic out the window when it becomes a competitive situation. We talked about winning in another segment, and winning means that you do anything at all costs to get what you want, even if it means overpaying for something. So when you come on the market and you're a deal or a discount, and now you've driven multiple people to the property that want it, that are fighting over it, you have an opportunity to actually get above market value for your property. So our adage is price right at market value, or what we think is market value, or intentionally price a little bit below, because competition is the number one thing that can help you drive price.